So yeah, hello everyone and welcome. Sorry. Today, I'm going to talk about JHipster and how you can use JHipster to create a modern web app. And you will have Vue.js for the front end and Spring Boot for the back end. So here's a quick agenda about today's session. So we got 3 parts. First part, classic introduction, why and what JHipster, what is it? Part 2 will be like really how it works, what's the architecture, and also why Vue.js, we have like all the choice of front-end frameworks. So just wanted to talk a bit about like Vue.js and why I decided to pick it. And then part 3 will be a demo and a conclusion and a small Q&A session. So yeah, let's just first start with the regular, introduction slide. So my name is Theo Lebr. I'm a data engineer and technical manager at EPON Technologies. I used to be a full stack engineer for like many years, and then recently, like 2 years ago, I switched to more like a data profile. And yeah, I'm from New York, so you can tell with the picture. Got a nice New York slice pizza in our office. So yeah, maybe maybe we'll get pizza for lunch or something. We'll see. But yeah, and if you want to reach me out on my social, my GitHub or like my Twitter account, I also have a personal website with a lot of blogs that I wrote, and also like my presentation from the past. So yeah, what is JHipster? So JHipster, when people hear it, they think it's a framework, they think it's like a software, like all those different things. But at the end, JHipster is really like just a development platform, and it will like generate code for you and kind of like assist you and help you generate working code that can already be deployed, and obviously works. So again, not a framework. You can I guess put JHipster on your resume, but it's not really like something you want to really highlight. Like I said, not really a framework, not just like a platform to help you. In terms of like architecture, you will have Spring Boot for the back end, so all Java-based Spring Boot, and for the front end, you will have either like Angular, React, or Vue.js. And you also have a set of tooling that to make your life easier as a developer. So yeah, it is like 100% free and open source. And here's the main website if you want to check it out, jhipster.tech. There's also the GitHub repo, and it's a pretty big community. We have like over 600 contributors, a lot of stars, and download in the last 30 days. And also, last week it was actually the 10-year anniversary of JHipster. It was created back in 2013. At the time, it was only Spring Boot for the back end and only Angular for the front end. And I think it was also only one type of database, just SQL database. And of course, through the year, we added like a lot of new features. So React, Vue.js, and also other type of database like NoSQL database like MongoDB or like Cassandra. So yeah, in terms of for the website, we have like a lot of unique visitors, around like 100K just for October. And also because it's fully open source, we have a platform to kind of help us raise money and kind of like, because open source work is cool and everything, but someone is working on it. And it could be like, when you spend like hours working kind of for free, not really ideal. So we decided to use Open Collective. So we have people, that donate money every month. We also have company. Okta, for example, is a very big company that donates money every month. And then we can use that money for like, bug bounties. So if you fix a bug, you can get like $100, $200, or $500. And also, for like more fun stuff, if the team is in the same city, we can go to a restaurant or something like that. So yeah, it's a good approach for like open source product because, like I said, like at the end, someone is working on it and it takes time, and getting some money really helps. So yeah, JHipster, what is it good for? So different, I would say, cases. The first one is really business application. So you can have like a single web page. Sorry, you can also like form with like CRUD application. So with API and all that stuff. Pretty straightforward. You will have a form, you will input some data, save into a database. You can also get back that data, update it, all those things. And all that will be generated by JHipster with like a nice single web page. You can also use it for POCs. That's kind of like one of my favorite way of using JHipster is when you need to bootstrap something in like few hours and you don't want to spend time like wrangling around and like connecting things together. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it works, it depends. So yeah, with JHipster, in like few minutes, you will have a working app that, I will be able to go to production actually, because, you will have Spring Boot for the backend and whatever front-end framework you picked. And then the last case is for like mobile applications. So obviously, if you use your phone, you'll be able to see the web page and everything, because the website is all responsive. But if you want to go a bit like deeper, you can actually use a module that use Ionic, and you'll be able to do like a real phone application. So yeah, again, multiple options. My favorite one is like POCs, but we had like in the past we had applications that went to production and started with JHipster. So it's pretty cool for that. In terms of the architecture, so like I said, the classical JHipster architecture is a single page application. The database, you can pick any kind of database. So it can be like SQL, it can be like NoSQL with like MongoDB or Cassandra. And then you can like plug in other like services / modules. So for example, Elasticsearch, Kafka. We also have like caching, all that stuff. So really up to you, depending on what you want to achieve. And yeah, for the front end, main static HTML page is loaded. Then whatever front-end framework you picked is also launched. And yeah, the framework will make REST calls to your backend, get the data back, and show the data. So yeah, and of course at the end, all the data is stored in the database and persisted. So let's take a quick look actually with an architecture diagram. So on the left, I have my classic web browser. So let's say Chrome, Firefox, whatever. I go to my single web page app with whatever framework I picked, makes REST requests to the backend, so full Spring Boot. Then my backend will do SQL requests to my database, and then the data come back to my backend. Can do some business logic, whatever I want, and then push all that back to my front end and display the result to the end user. So what is being generated? Like I said, JHipster is not a framework. It will generate your application skeleton. So all the code for the Spring Boot app for the backend, all the code for the front end. It will come with like a lot of toolings, like stuff like Webpack, Maven, or Gradle, depending on what you pick. Configure everything for you, and then you can right away run the app. You can also use what we call sub-generators, so that will run after you create your application. And those sub-generators will help you kind of add some features to your app. So the first use case is like the entity sub-generator. So that's probably the most popular one, because when you create an app, there's really nothing, and then you can add entities to your app. So I will show everything in the demo anyway, but yeah. We also have like other sub-generators. The CI/CD one is pretty cool. We'll give you like all the regular CI/CD pipelines, so you can be like, hey, I want to use Jenkins or like GitLab CI, all those things. And then last but not least, if you want to go to the cloud, if you want to go to AWS or like Heroku, there's also a sub-generator for that. And then if you want more to do like containers, if you want to do like, let's say like a microservice architecture, you definitely want to containerize all that. So yeah, you'll be able to use, the sub-generators for that. So then why Vue.js? So by the way, those metrics are a bit old. But at the start, when I was like, hey, I kind of want to check out Vue.js, why that? I liked it because it's very lightweight, easy to learn. I had like a small background with Angular, so I will say Angular and Vue is pretty similar. And I was like, React, yeah, I don't really want to look at React for now. So that was kind of like my point of view. Obviously, everyone has a different point of view. But yeah, and I really like Vue.js. It's very easy to pick up. It's very good. It works very well, and I just like the approach, because sometimes when you want to pick up something new, it could be hard if you have to relearn like new concepts and all those things. So yeah, that was for me why I picked Vue.js. But again, those metrics, they're like probably a bit old now. I need to update that. So a lot of talking. So let's do a demo. I think it will be the best way to like kind of showcase what you can do with JHipster. And yeah, in this demo, I'm just going to generate a basic application. Then I'm going to generate entities. and gonna like showcase everything, and then also gonna do like a Vue.js walkthrough, so that way you guys can see kind of like how it works with Vue and everything. So let's switch back to my terminal. Gonna increase the font. So I'm just gonna go in like an empty folder. So just connect tech folder. Promise there's nothing in it. And then I'm gonna run JHipster. So I already installed JHipster and everything, so I'm kind of cheated, right? I already configured and everything. Again, that if you go on the main website, that takes around like 5 minutes if you have like tools like Homebrew and all those things. But here, I already have JHipster installed. So I'm just gonna run JHipster. And the way it works is JHipster will ask me questions because it kind of wants to know, hey, what kind of application you want to create. So first question it asks me is like, hey, what's the type of application you want to create? So we have different choices. So we have monolith, a gateway, or microservice. We're not going to do any microservice today, but we're just going to do a monolith like classic app. But yeah, if you want to do microservices, you can also do that with JHipster. There's a nice diagram on the website that will like explain how it works. But yeah, today let's just do a monolith. Then what is the base name of your application? I just use my folder name, so we're going to be good with that. There's this new feature, with Spring, like Spring Webflux, if you want to do like reactive stuff. We're not going to do that today. And then, stuff for like the backend, like, hey, what's the Java package name? So I'm just going to pick the default one. Then, what kind of authentication I would like to use. So, you have the regular like token, JWT token. You also have like OAuth or like, kind of old school with like HTTP session-based. We're just going to use JWT. And then what kind of database I would like to use. So, if you remember, I was saying, hey, you can pick like SQL database. You can also have NoSQL, so, Mongo, Cassandra. There's also like 2 other databases in like beta, but just for, for today. You can also pick no database if you want, but obviously that's not very fun, so we're not going to do that today. But yeah, let's pick SQL, classic SQL database. And then for production, we can pick like what kind of, actually engine we want to use. So we're just going to go use Postgres, sorry. Today, we're not going to do anything in production, but just in case you need like Postgres for production. And then for development, to make things easy, I'm just going to use a disk-based database, so H2. Again, if I want, I could use Postgres, but I don't want to start Postgres in the background and all those things, so just going to pick H2. Then a lot of backend questions like, hey, what kind of caching you want to use? Just going to use the default one. Again, if it's your first time running JHipster, I recommend just selecting the default answer. It could be like a bit, overwhelming at first, a lot of questions, and you don't really know what to do. Just answer the default one. So we're going to use eCache, Hibernate, second level cache. Yeah, sure. Maven Gradle, always the big debate for like backend people. Just going to pick Maven. I'm okay with it. And then if you want, like, that's, for example, like an example of like an external module that was created by JHipster. It's like, hey, if you want, we have this thing called JHipster registry that will like help you, configure, monitor, and scale your application. I'm just going to say no because for today's demo, obviously, we don't really want to do that. But yeah. And then, like I say, we can add other components like Elasticsearch, Kafka, WebSockets, all that stuff. API first development is actually pretty cool. So I use the OpenAPI generator. And the idea is if you have a Swagger from like another API, you can use that Swagger and generate all the classes for you and all the POJOs and the entities. So again, we're not going to do that today. Nothing too hard. And then yeah, the front-end framework, obviously we're going to pick Vue. If you want, you can actually have no front-end, so it would be like a pure Spring Boot app. So just APIs. But yeah, let's use Vue. Do you want to generate the admin UI? Yes, the admin UI is actually pretty cool, just to like administrate the application. Then that's more like front-end stuff now. Like, hey, we have boot swatch. Do you want a theme? Like different colors. Again, default JHipster color will work. Do we want to support internationalization? Always having a hard time saying that word. But yeah, let's do it. So we're going to pick English as the main language. And then as an additional language, you can probably hear my accent, but I'm French, so let's speak French also. And then you can also add additional testing framework, Cypress, Gatling, all those things. We're not going to do that today. And then do you want to install like any other generators? Let's not do that. So now I answer all the questions. JHipster is going to generate all the code. So it's going to generate multiple files. It's actually already done generating. Like if you look at the files, it's, I don't know, it's a lot of files because you have like all the front end stuff and the back end. But yeah, that part generating the files, it really takes like a few seconds. You can see here, for example, we have our Java files. And if I scroll back, I have my web app files, so all the Vue files. And yeah, after generating all those files, JHipster will just run npm to install all the npm packages. So it will just run the regular npm install, and then right after we'll be able to actually run the app and see it. There's also another thing that just want to highlight is we also create a Git repository. So if I go, I have another terminal. Let me increase too. I'm going to go to the folder, and you can see now I have like a Git repo. Nothing was committed yet, but after doing the npm install, JHipster will actually automatically create a commit with all the files. So let's just wait a bit. If it takes too long, I'm just going to already show the code, but actually let's do that so that way we're not wasting any time. So I'm just going to open my project with Visual Code. And here on the, can I increase? Yeah, perfect. So you can see on the right, I have all my folder architecture with all my files. So you can see we have like a lot of stuff. We have the regular tsconfig JSON file that will configure TypeScript and everything. We also have stuff like, where is it? Yeah, we have Webpack that configure all the Webpack components. So yeah, a lot of configuration files and all those things. We also have, if you're more familiar with the backend, we have our POM XML. We have, that all the dependencies. And then in we have our source folder, and then in main we have our Java application. We're not going to really go into that today because it's backend stuff. We don't really care. And then we have our web app. That's what we care of. And we have like our app folder. We have our Vue application and everything. And then all language files. So for example, if I go into my app folder and then I go to my app.vue, I have my HTML template. Again, only one page, so that's why it's like very short. And then I have my main.ts. This is actually the main the main Vue.js application. So if I scroll down, you can see here I have my my Vue object that configure all my application. I have my services and all those things. So again, everything was generated to generate Vue, to generate a Vue project. Sorry. So I think we're good with the npm install. Yeah. So again, like I say, now we have a Git repo, and if I do a git log, you can see it created a commit with all my files. So again, JHipster does a lot of things under the hood for you, so that's pretty cool. So as my app was generated, again, it took like few minutes. I can just run it. So to run it, I'm just going to use Maven. So we have a Maven wrapper, and it will basically start my my app. And yeah, if I don't use any like configuration, any profile, it will just use the dev profile. So it has all the information needed and everything. I don't have to specify any component parameters. Sorry. So we're going to start the app. So you can see it's doing like few things under the hood. So first, it's configuring Webpack, compiling TypeScript file, all that stuff. And then after that, here we go. We're starting the JHipster app. So again, that's just the backend. If you're familiar with Java, you probably know that logging, I would say, system. But yeah, we have our app now. So let's take a look. Let me go like full screen. So yeah, here we have JHipster app. I'm going to log in. So we have two users by default. We have admin and client. Sorry, user, not client. So I'm going to log in with admin because we have like more, more features. So here we have an entity menu. There's no entities right now, so I'm going to generate entities later. That was just to showcase the app first. We have the administration menu, which is very useful. So here we have the user management. So that's where I can add, like create user, update user, remove users. Something to highlight, maybe let me increase a bit, is the profile. So we have like a user and admin profile. I will like showcase how we use that after. Then we have another page, metrics. Again, this is a cool metrics dashboard just to see how the application is running. Again, this is only Java like Spring Boot stuff. Health, just regular health check, database, disk space, all that stuff. Configuration, again, this is just for the Spring Boot app. This is all the properties of the application. So useful if you want to kind of know like, hey, what's the value of that property? Logs level, for your Spring Boot app. And then something a bit cooler is the API. So we have like, if I click on that link, we have a Swagger that was generated based on my API. So if you want to share that with other components with your team, you can be like, hey, you want to use my API? That's cool. Here's the Swagger definition. And I can also, with this UI, I don't know if you're familiar with the Swagger UI, but you can actually, use it. So here, if I go to get, I'm just going to get all the users. So here right now, if I run execute, you can see I have my 2 users. So again, this is pure curl request. If I want, I can even like copy paste my curl request here and display the list of users. So yeah, this API is pretty cool. And then the last page is the database. Again, let's see if I want to really see the data into my database. So remember, it's like H2 disk based. So that's why it's using this like web browser UI. But if I go to my JHipster user table and I run my query, I can see my 2 users. So yeah, database, everything is there. Languages, if I want to switch, and then more like based on my account. So admin, if I want to update my first name, last name, email. If I want to update my password, all those things. So that's a quick overview of the app. But again, like I said, we are kind of missing entities. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to generate entities. So I'm just going to kill my app. And in order to generate entities, we're going to use what's called a JDL. It means JHipster Domain Language. So here I have very basic, JDL with like basically 3 entities. I have bank account, operation, label, and they have each of them have some fields. So for example, bank account as a name, as a string, is it also a required field? It has a balance. It's a big decimal. Label, I have same thing, required with a size. So you can put validation on your fields on your each entity. And then you can also define relationship between them. So for example, hey, a bank account can have multiple operations. Like a user can have multiple bank accounts, and then any operation can have any label. I have also like small diagram that is generated based on that JDL if you want to kind of visualize all that. So I'm going to take that JDL. I'm going to go back into my Visual Code. Let me close that. I'm going to create a new file, entities.jdl. I'm going to paste my JDL. And now I'm just going to like run JHipster and tell him, hey, can you like, create entities based on that JDL? So I'm just going to do JHipster import JDL and then the name of my file. So here what it's going to do is going to read the file. It's going to be like, hey, I found some entities. I found bank account, label, and operation. Then it's going to start generating files because again, think about it, you really need to generate files for like each entity. You need to generate files for the backend and also for the front end. So here we can see, and also of course like all the tests and all that stuff. So it starts generating files, and then there's a conflict. It's like, hey, like this file already exists. What you want to do? So usually you just say, hey, just overwrite it. So I'm just going to say A. That way it's going to overwrite the file and all the other files after. So I don't have to keep saying please overwrite it. And then yeah, after generating the entities. It's just going to rerun Webpack and all that stuff, so that way my app is ready to be tested. So now I've created my entities. So if I run again Maven, I'm going to have entities into my my web app. Now I'm going to showcase another cool thing after the Maven is finished. I'm going to like start Webpack in parallel because as a developer, like if I make changes on the front end, I want those changes to be reflected right away into my web app. I don't want to recompile stuff manually. It takes time. So I just want to showcase that. So here I have my app. It's started, In the different terminal, I'm just going to run npm start. And here what it's going to do is going to start like a Webpack server. And like I said, this server will like take care of compiling the code and everything for me. So that way when I make changes, I can see changes right away. So I'm going to sign in. Again, same user, admin. And here, if we go to entities, you can see that I have my 3 entities, bank account, label, and operation. So if I go to bank account, I already have some stuff, which is kind of like interesting, like why there's already data. The reason is very simple, is because we're using the dev profile, we use a library called Faker that will just generate data for you. So you can see I already generate like 10 bank accounts. Same thing for like label or like operation. So if I go to my bank account page, I can like create a new bank account. So I'll just do like test with like a balance of $100. I can link it to a user if I want. Tells me bank account was created, is right here. I can also like view an existing bank account. I can change it if I want to change the balance, for example. So regular like CRUD operation. And again, like this is persistent into the database and everything. So yeah, this is kind of like everything about the entities. So now let's say I go to like my bank account and I'm like, hey, this is kind of like lame. It's like bank account 1. I kind of want to change that label. So if I go to the code and then I go to my src folder main. So here I go to my Vue.js app and I want to change the text. So I'm going to go into my text folder, like language folder, English. And then I'm like, hey, I'm on my bank account page. So let's go into my bank account JSON. So here I have all my my labels for my page. So here we are like on the detailed page because we're looking at the bank account. Sorry. So I can say, hey, title bank account. So I can just say, hey, bank account test, for example. So I'm going to save, and then when I go back, you can see I updated the label right away. If I do it like fast enough, you can actually see that it refreshed the page, and then So again, this is all done by Webpack in the background. So if you're not familiar with Webpack, it's a pretty cool tool, and that will like update the code for you, so you don't have to do like manually compile and all that stuff. So here, like I said, I control like all my strings. I can say, hey, like if I want to change label and all that stuff. But let's take a look a bit deeper into our Vue.js app. So if I go to my app folder, I have like multiple files. Again, remember we looked at this main.typescript file that contained the Vue.js app. But let's take a look at router, for example. So if we go to like, let's say entities, here we're going to manage all the routes to our application. So we're going to be like, hey, the path, bank-account, that's to display like bank accounts. Cool thing here, we're saying, hey, you have to be a user to be able to see bank accounts. Like, so for example, if I take that link here and I start like an incognito, it's not going to work because obviously you need to be logged in to view entities and make changes to them and all those things. We also have, if you remember, we also have another authority, admin. So if we go to the admin page here, if you want to manage user, you need to be an admin. So I kind of like that with Vue is like all the routes are like centralized in one file, so it's kind of easy to kind of know like exactly your routes, and if you want to make some changes, it's not like multiple files. It's really like kind of one. You can group that into the same file, so that's pretty cool. So that's kind of all for like our routes. And now if we want to take a look deeper into like really Vue.js and the code and how it works, again, I'm just going to use again like bank account. So we are our bank account entity, and we have like different templates and different files. So we have our service, which is pure Vue.js service that will really do like all the CRUD calls, our API calls, to our backend. So stuff like find a user, retrieve a user, delete, create updates and partial updates. So again, all that was generated with JHipster. Then let's say we want like I like that detail page that show like the bank account and all its detail. So if I go back, I can check the template. So here this is the HTML template that contain like all the HTML code to show that detailed page. And then we have our component. They will be in charge of communicating to that template with the correct data. So, here again, this is Vue.js code. You can see here, we have our retrieve bank account function. With, we call our service with the specific ID, and then, if we get our bank account, we just set it into our component. If not, we just show an alert. So again, if you're like familiar with Angular, you would kind of realize that it's, very, very similar to Angular. So now let's take a look at something, the update page. So maybe I can showcase here. So, I forgot to show that, but of course we have the validation, right? So if I like not set any name, I cannot save, Same thing with the balance. If I don't set any balance, I cannot save my entity. And this is all because of my JDL, because, here I was saying, hey, you need a name, you need a balance, and all that stuff. So, JHipster generate the validation for you. And so here it's really, front-end validation, but I also generate the validation in the backend. I'm not going to show that, but in my Java entities, I also have the validation set there. So how does it work? Very simple. If I go back to my Vue code, so this is, my update template. But if I go to my component, you can see that I'm using a library called validate. So, I can set like different validators. So here I have my validation. So I'm saying, hey, my bank account has a name, it's required. Balance is also required, it has to be a number. And then I can interact, with this validation. I set it into my component, but then I can interact with it into my Vue and be like, hey, if the name is invalid. So for example, here, hey, if the name is invalid, you're going to show like the small error message and all those things. But again, all that was generated with JHipster, so it really makes things easy for you. And yeah, like if you want to kind of replicate the same logic into your own pages, you can just kind of like copy paste the code and like change a few things. The ID, by the way, I don't really talk about that, but all the files that JHipster generates, you can actually change them if you want. Like it's really, you can do what you want. It's just next time if you generate more stuff, it might like revert your changes. So you just have to be careful when you make sure everything is pushed to code, is pushed to Git and everything. So yeah, so that's kind of like it for all the the components, the Vue app, all like the validation works and all those things. I can obviously showcase like more things. So for example, like if we go to like our account page, we have like our account service and all those things. The admin pages also, like I like the user management pages. So same thing as entities. You have like a Vue user, like the regular user management template that will showcase all the users, and if you want to also change an existing user. So everything is there. Shared also has like a lot of shared code for your app. So like all the stuff for like alerts. Configuration is also very very useful. That's how everything is configured for the Vue.js app. And then we have like stuff for like the data, the dates, all those things. And security, if you remember, that's like my authorities. So again, we have two profile, admin and user. So that's pretty much it for the demo. Again, we did like pretty quick demonstration of all the things that JHipster like supports and do for you. I could go like deeper and like showcase all the things. There's actually, if you're very interested, on the main website, we have like a lot of components that you can explore for yourself. So first of all, you can like check the video. I don't know if you know Matt Rabel, but he's awesome and he made like a lot of videos about JHipster. So if you want to check out these videos, really recommend. It's very useful. We also have like training books. Also a lot of like tutorials and trainings online if you like want to check out things. Here it's like what I was saying, like if you want to donate and all that stuff, but honestly don't worry about that. We have like companies and people doing it. And yeah, if and also like maybe I got started with that. If you want to really like, hey, I kind of want to know more into details what I can do with JHipster, there's this nice page that really tells you all the components. It's pretty detailed and really explain to you, hey, what all the things you can do. You can even see that now, we have like Spring Boot and Angular, but you can also, like, if you want to do like more, cool stuff, you can use like Micronaut, Quarkus, even Node.js or .NET for the backend. So pretty cool. And here, you kind of have like a recap of all the client side options you can pick. Same thing for the server side, and deployment, CI/CD, all those things. Here on the menu on the left, again, all instruction, like if you want to like, hey, like I want like, just like explain to me what's JHipster in a few minutes, that will do it. You can also like, hey, how do you install JHipster, or like how do you set up with a proxy, all that stuff. The menu that I really like is this one, like, hey, I want to create an application, I want to create an entity, like how do you do that? I want to do like, relationship and all those things. And then if you remember, I was talking about microservices. I don't really recommend doing microservices unless you really know what you're doing, because I think it's very easy to do something bad with microservices. But if you're interested, there's like a nice diagram, that explains to you how it works and all those things. But yeah, again, this is a bit advanced, so don't really recommend it. And yeah, then you have all the options. Again, the website has a lot of content. It could be like a lot at first because there's like a lot of components, but again, this is really, if you're looking for something specific, you should have everything you need on the website. And for example, if we go on that page, like how do you use Vue with your project, it will actually explain to you like the project structure, all the different files. It could be like, it could be like a bit overwhelming at first because there's like files everywhere. So good page to check out just to really understand how it works. And if you want to like know more details, about the validation, like I can explain, or like the authorization. So let's go back to our slides. So that was it for the demo. So we did like quick overview, like how to generate an application, how to generate entities with a JDL, and then walkthrough of Vue.js. So I just want to thank you for your time. If you have any question, you can obviously talk to me after that talk. You can also like shoot me an email. And just want to highlight that EPON, my company, we can like help you if you want to use JHipster with and we can also like help you for any of your software development. We have the data practice, a software practice, also a product and DevOps. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, let's switch to a small Q&A session. Does have any questions or want to know more about something? Yeah.
So if you have CI/CD set up in your pipeline,
yeah,
you make a change to, let's say, only the backend. Is it smart enough to only, run the test or whatever for just that part, or will it deploy the entire?
So for the CI, depending on what you pick, let's say you pick Jenkins, it will basically create a Jenkins file, with all the instruction for your pipelines. So if you make a change for your backend, it's basically going to recompile the whole app, because it's going to recompile the backend, run the test for it. But it's also at the end it's going to package a jar, so it's going to have to recompile also the front end. And then you're going to have your jar, and you will be able to deploy it to whatever you want. But yeah, it's going to run the test on both front end and back end. Usually it's the way, if you can try to be like, hey, only the back end changes, so I'm just going to do like the back end tested, but I feel like it will be like a bit complicated in terms of the Jenkins file code. Yeah. Yes?
Did it write the test?
Yes, I kind of skipped that part, but 100%. So if we take a look, I can also like run the test. So if I go to my, not main folder, my test folder, you can see here I have all my Java files. So, for example, if I go to my web, let's pick again bank account. So we have my bank account resource integration test. So all that test was generated with JHipster. And we actually have, I think it's like a 90% coverage or something in terms of like code coverage. So all that was, generated, we use like, mocks and all those things. But let's take a look more at the front end, because, obviously we don't really care about the back end. Here we have, my JavaScript, and kind of like same thing, I have my entities. So if I go to my bank account, I have my spec.typescript file, and here is going to, run my Vue app and run all my tests on it. So that means if I go, here, I'm just going to shut down everything. But if I do Maven test, it's going to run, all my backend test and front end. So again, all that was generated with JHipster. So I forgot exactly, but yeah, it gives you right away a very high code coverage. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So if you wanted 100%,
you have to you will have to do some stuff manually. Yeah, you can see here I have my tests that were finished. I think if I do npm test, it's been let's see if you want to do 100%, first of all, I would not really recommend to do 100% because it could give you like a lot of headache. There's some some function or some constructors that you never use, so you end up doing tests that are really just targeting that thing. Not really ideal, but some companies, they're like, no, we need 100%. So it is what it is. But yeah, you will have to do some stuff manually for sure. So yeah, here we're running the front-end test with NPM. So it kind of generates like a lot of tests by default. Like you can see, it's already like 180 tests. I mean, it generated 190 tests in total because again, I have like 3 entities. But yeah, all that is tested. So if maybe on the website is showcased, but if you check on how it's called on the Sonar, it actually maybe I can check on this one. I forgot, but if you check on Sonar, yeah, no, it's not. We have JHipster running on Sonar, so I should be able to. But I forgot the link. But yeah, Sonar will give you all the metrics and everything. And I wonder if there's on the web page on the website. I wonder if there's maybe not. But I remember, like I said, it's like 90%. I mean, you saw it generate a lot of tests for you, so But yeah. We're good? Thanks. Yeah, thank you guys for coming, and yeah.